Hi, picture guys, don't make fun of my wife hates it. My name's Sam Demaio. I met Kevin, had the pleasure of meeting Kevin, one of his duplex projects. He lived in the one side, I think he had a broken leg at that time.
I tore my ACL.
Good, there you go. He was a football player back in the day for the Eagles, and no, we have a good relationship, and kind of built over there. He's a great person, so I was happy to speak for him. In the room, I got a couple of questions for you, just because I'm trying to gauge what kind of audience I have out here. Who here has never flipped a home? Okay. Who here has flipped more than one home? Okay. Who here is a realtor? Okay, good. Who here is a contractor of any sort? All right, good. I'm going to talk about all that stuff. Thank you, guys. All right. So we'll get started. I see a lot of new faces that really never heard my whole story, so I won't kill you with that, but I will kind of go over that a little bit, and then we'll go into a little bit of contracting, a little bit about investing, a little bit about relationship building, and then we'll talk about another thing that I kind of go over, which is kind of being, giving back to the community, and always comes back to you. So we'll go over that too, and believing in yourself, and always saying you can, even though people say you can't. So I definitely want to touch base on that too. But I'll kind of start my little background story. I grew up in Ariel, New Jersey, Sicklerville. Nice area. Went to Catholic school my whole entire life. I went to St. Jude's in Blackwood. Now it's Our Lady of Hope, and then Paul VI. At the time, going through grade school, you're gonna laugh, but I wanted to be a priest. Up until about 6th grade, the puberty started to hit and things started to change, and I went a different direction, right?
Still got time.
But I definitely, was pretty close. I was an altar boy all growing up, and definitely enjoyed that. And Paul VI was cool. I decided at 17 years old, my junior year of high school, I wanted to join the Army. So I joined the Army at 17, my junior year of high school, went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, spent my whole summer there. I was a Cavalry Scout, so it was all males. It wasn't like a male-female mix. Then go to Fort Jackson. I was able to, kind of learn what I later in life, really needed, which is organization, discipline, using SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, which I didn't realize later in life came in handy in building any kind of business. KPIs, which are key point indicators, which I didn't even know what that meant, but I just knew we always had those. Every month we would have an evaluation on us, and that's how you got ranked in. That's how you build rank, and that's how you make more money. And then from there, left there, finished my senior year at Paul VI, and then decided, hey, I wanted to do something with myself. I wanted to be a police officer, but I ended up, taking the test and ended up in a good old Camden County Jail.
Yeah, you go. Just forgot.
I was in Camden County Jail for 5 years. It was a very fun time. It was a big eye-opener for me, but I wasn't an inmate, I was a correctional officer. So what I ended up doing there is I bought my first duplex at 19 years old. So I bought it for $82,500. I rented my top unit out for $750. My mortgage was $850. I lived for $100 a month. From there, I basically built up goals. And how I did it was, I knew if I had, at that time, I think it was $10,000, and obviously the properties were a lot cheaper than they are now. I knew I could buy another rental property. And the way I would do it is, there was a place called La Cascada in Clementon. I own 10 of those now, but I bought those between $35,000 and $50,000. They're now worth 200 plus. I bought them cash. At the time though, my first couple, I used obviously a mortgage lender, and I put $10,000 down, and then I'd fix them up anywhere between $12,000 and $15,000, and at that time I'd rent them out for $975. The rent now for there is now $1,800 a month. So obviously in time, you always build a lot of wealth in real estate, nothing else. Because you can make a lot of money working for different people, but you're gonna get taxed a lot of money. And I felt like the way I was to get out of my job, because again, I worked at the correctional facility, and I saw the people at the end, and the guys retiring, I said, I definitely don't want to be those guys. They just didn't look happy to me. They were getting out, but they looked sad. And I said, there's no way I want to look like that, when I'm done my 25-year tenure at the jail. So I knew I wanted to get out, I just didn't know how I was going to get out. And I came up with this crazy goal of, hey, if I had enough rental properties to pay for my house that I actually live in, then I'd be good. So what I did is, obviously, I started a business at 22. It was a construction business, and I learned kind of just by doing the paperwork. I was the paperwork guy, but then I quickly became the guy who was doing the work too. So as I did that, I started to build that company up, and I started what was called Showcase Flooring. So I started in a basement in a building that I bought in Pine Hill. It was a 4-unit building on the main road in Pine Hill. It had almost like a church, like a women's recovery place in there, a chiropractor in there. The basement was somebody, I can't remember who it was, but then eventually they moved out. That's why I moved Showcase Flooring in there, and our little construction company. So I put that in there, and I had one employee, and we kind of built that up to what we have now, which you kind of see all over. We have over 75 employees for Showcase Remodels. But what I did in the beginning was I learned everything myself. So for the contractors, what I did was on the Showcase Flooring is I would go to the other flooring stores, so they didn't know me at that time, and I would figure out exactly how much they were charging, so I knew I could be a little less. I later learned, hey, you don't want to be the race to the bottom. You don't be the cheapest price. But hey, you got to start somewhere, right? And why not start, especially when you have no or low overhead, being the guy with the best price, and then being able to service as many people as possible. Because you got to set a name for yourself, and then you getting the work done time and time again over a long period of time. That's how you build customers. And then once you have a client base that's already building and already knows and can trust you, that's how you build a real business. Because I see so many businesses now get stuck on PE, which is private equity, and then those companies eventually fold up. So we see it every day. Literally a couple of weeks ago, Renovo was a $1 billion company. They folded and financially, and they claimed bankruptcy, and they did $663 million this year. So again, it's not about the revenue, it's about how much profit you can retain. So don't get stuck on anyone else but yourself. So just be in competition with yourself, just try and be better as best as you can every single day, and always try and learn. Because the other part of it is, hey, there's a lot to learn, right? So I feel like rental-wise, as many properties as you can get, but have a number, have a plan. My strategy back then was if I can make $400 per $100,000 I spent in rent, so my rent, say it was $100,000. My quick math, I could be wrong now, but it was $100,000, so it's going to cost me $1,000 a month all in. My rent needed to be $1,400. I'm going to make $400. Do that 10 times, that's $4,000. Well, I could probably get a house and a car for that, right, and the profit, and now I'm not paying for anything. They are. So what I did in that case was I got enough to buy a house. So what I did was I had enough rental properties where the rent was coming in. We got ourselves a house. I bought that house cash. It was our first house. I think I bought it for around $200, maybe $214 actually. And then eventually I built that up, sold that for $550, and bought another house. But needless to say, my rental properties, we have a portfolio of around 48 rental properties. We have no mortgages. So those properties kind of fund my life. So in the contracting part, and I can talk about contracting forever, I always use that money to invest in real estate. And I want to use that money to invest in rental properties, like Justin with the laundromats. You want to have some kind of income coming in, but you always want to have something in the background that's making you money while you're sleeping. That's how you really acquire wealth. Not by having an income or a great job or whatever. I don't care if you're making 50 grand or 500 grand. If you're not investing in real estate, you're never going to get anywhere, because that's how you really get the real key to wealth. So in my rental properties, again, once you start building up, the first one's probably the hardest one, because again, everyone is scared to make that initial jump. But when you start to connect with people, especially like some of the people in the room, like Tyler, he's going to be a world of knowledge, because if he's going to give you the time of day, which I think he would, and you're going to put the time in to learn how to flip a house, you'll be able to learn how to make money. And then when you start flipping houses, and you take that profit and you put it into a rental property, now you're going to have wealth. So my ticket was this: I would buy a house cash, I would fix it up and flip it. And the first one I did took me a long time. So it was 56 East Maple Avenue, Glendora, New Jersey, right? I'll never forget, the realtor called me. Her name was Janet Larson. She's probably still around. I don't even know. She might be retired by now, but she called me. She said, "Sam, I have this property, but you got to come tonight." So typical salesperson, I got to come tonight. So I said, "All right, let's go there." So I go in there, and it's a rancher house, and I think it's definitely under 1,000 square feet the house. It's a 2-bedroom. There's a basement, and she was a hoarder. So I walk in, and the first thing I see is the bathroom, because it was straight ahead. You open the door, it was a bathroom, you're in the living room. I could see in the kitchen she was sitting down. She was a little bit bigger, on the bigger side. And there was diapers literally this high in the bathroom. So I didn't walk in the bathroom. I looked in the bathroom. That's rough. That is rough. And there's a hand mark. I gotta see if I can find the picture. It's on my Facebook, where she actually must have got up for the toilet, and literally with the poop marks that were on the toilet, like on the wall. So I'm like, this is gonna be a rough one. But I'll get through it. I'll get through it. And you know, when I went downstairs, I went to turn the lights on, and when I went to go downstairs, I started seeing like footprints in like paint, and I was a little nervous. I'm like, you know, I was always been tough. I worked at the jail, a lot of fun stuff, but I'm like, I'm not going down. I think I'm gonna get hit on the head with somebody, or someone's down there. So I see everything's good in the basement. So at that time, you know, the lady, she wanted $55,000 for the house. I only had 30 grand. So I think we agreed to like 32,000. So I went all in for it. So basically, I borrowed 10,000 off my girlfriend and my wife at the time, and then I had the 20. So I basically bought it for like 32,000. And then it took me 6 months to fix that house up. You know, back in the day, we have YouTube and ChatGPT and Google now, but back in the day, what I did, when I bought my first rental property, I bought this book. It was called Home Depot 123, little orange book. And I would flip through that book and I would learn how to do everything. But now you don't have to do that, you just literally go on your phone and you can do it that way. So if you want to know anything about a house or how to do it, it's easily accessible now, right on your phone. So there's no reason for you not to learn yourself and then hire professionals to do it. But what I did is, it did take me 6 months to get that house flipped. It was very small because I didn't have the money. So what I do is, when I was doing my regular business, I also had just left my job. My full-time job as a police officer. I was a police officer in Gloucester Township. I had 10 full years in. And just so you know, I know there's like a firefighter in here. I'm not sure he's here. So to make that switch, I kind of make it pretty comfortable. I wasn't 100% ready, but you're never going to be 100% ready. I was 85% ready, right? I had enough income for my rentals where I was comfortable. And my business was doing the same amount as I was making as a police officer. So at that time I left. But going back to the house, you know, I didn't have the money to actually get that house completed. So every weekend, I would take whatever I had left over from the week, and I would buy material, and I would go to the house, and I would fix it up. So it was very trying for me. It was also very fun. It was a cool journey. Looking back going, wow, I was absolutely insane doing that, but you know what, I got it done. And that's the attitude you have to go in. You can't be like, well, if I try to flip this house, maybe I'll mess up, and maybe it won't work. No, just get out there and do it. Don't be scared to do it. It's the people that actually try are the guys that can be successful. Listen, could you fail? Yeah. But guess what? Here's the beautiful thing. You can try it again and work again and keep doing it until you win. And that's what you want to do. You want to win. So in that, you know, it took me 6 months, another 30 grand, so I had like 60,000, 64,000 into it, sold it for 120. Then I linked in with a realtor after that. Just happened to be, you know, God always puts, you know, people in their place at the right time. Had this realtor call me at a closing table. Says, I have this house. And I think it was Charter Oak Road, the next house, Black. I have no idea how I remember, it was years ago. But I basically said, yeah, I'll be right there. So literally, I left the closing table, drove to that house, walked in, and she's like, absolutely not. I said, I love it, we'll take it. Boom, done. Well, now I had money. So basically, it took me 4 weeks to do that house. So I'm going to say off the top of my head, I'd say I bought that for 60, I put 30 into it, I sold it for 180. So that was a good way of making money. And I already had my construction business going. So I kept that going, and then I started doing my flips. And then we started doing less construction and more flips. So over the years, you know, things started to happen, right? So then I got to a point where I was doing only flips. I would buy a flip every single week. And, you know, the 1 year, I think our best year, we did 72 total transactions. I was, you know, buying and selling, or buying and holding. So that was a great year. And I did that all off of just doing my same formula. Flip to, buy a house cash. Flip to, buy a house cash. And I never wanted anything. I never had a car payment, nothing. I bought my for my carpentry business, construction business, I bought a minivan for $2,200. That was it. And everyone was making fun of me. They're like, look at this. They're going to call me like Sam the Carpet Man. I'm Sam the Carpet Man, whatever, driving around, because I had all the samples in the back. So I sell you, I'm there selling you carpet, I'm trying to sell you a roof too, right? And then I would try and, use subcontractors to get the work done. Plus I had one employee, who was my helper, every single day. And I did that the whole time. Then eventually what I did is, again, you have to have a replacement ladder for contractors. And the first thing you want to replace is admin. So what I did is, again, I lived in a duplex on Jarvis Road, the first one I bought. That was 15 years ago, because I was back there again. I basically made my office the attic. So I like pull down steps. What I did is in my closet, I had the steps going to the top floor, made that top floor my office. So I operated out of my office. But I was nonstop, like you couldn't stop me, it was impossible. Because what I would do is, it was called Home Advisor at the time, now it's called Angie's List. I would go and get the leads. And if you called at 8 o'clock at night, I would basically, I had two phones. So one would ring, basically was the customer coming on there, the lead would be there. I'd hit it, I'd call. From the other one, I'd be reading what it was, and I would tell the people, like, wow, I just hit the button. I said, we're pretty fast, I'm actually outside your house. And they're like, how the hell are you outside my house? I'm like, well, I'm just kidding, then we build that report. But then I would go there, if it was 8:30, 9, 10, I didn't care, I'd go there 10 o'clock at night. I'd come home with 3 or 4 checks every single day. I'd sell every single job. And I learned it just by making my little templates up for flooring, making my templates up for roofing, coming up with little order sheets. So I say, hey, this many square, it's this many rolls of felt paper. It's just, and I've done all of those things, all those checklists. And at the time, I didn't think they were important, but later on in life, as you start to grow, you need those to train other people. So at the time, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But now, once we get to the down part of scaling down over contracting, it's a huge deal. Because so many people don't know it, and I think everyone just all of a sudden knows it, and you have to learn. So, and I always say it's the dumb tax, right? Everything that you do, you have to learn from somebody, or you learn from making mistakes. That's the dumb tax. I've made just about every mistake you possibly can make. But going back to properties, we got to a point where we had, every week I was flipping a property, every week I was buying a property until COVID happened. And then once COVID happened, that shut down everything I was doing for the most part. Still had a little bit of retail, customers, pretty good customer base, but then I decided to go all in on the customer base. Because again, once you have nothing but you have guys, because again, I went from, my helper's my main guy now. His whole family now works for us, and we have 8 of them, and they came in and they kind of set the culture, because once they start doing good work and other people see you start doing good work, other people that they know start coming in, they're doing good work, and it's just like a family. So it's like a small family business that turns into a bigger operation. And again, there's definitely some growing pains in anything that you do, but if you don't try, you'll never know if you'll make it. So buying houses now, definitely a lot harder to acquire the deals because of Tyler giving out money. But before, it was hard to get the Tylers around. There wasn't many around. So that, no one had money unless you had cash. And they say cash is king. You can get a deal if you have the cash. So, what's that? So I think in investing, especially if it's your first deal, what's up, man? We'll talk about that too in a minute. If it's your first deal, you got to really map yourself out. So you want to put yourself around somebody that's either flipping homes or follow somebody flipping homes, and just map everything out. And then again, if you send us like an email, or if you look up like my Instagram or whatever, it's all on there. Just shoot in 42-point checklist. Shoot us a DM. We're Pretty Ricky over here. He'll send you back our 42-point checklist, and you'll see how I lay out every single home every single day. And we do it in order where everyone knows that I need this done this way. It keeps you in order, and you're not going out of order. Because I can't tell you, so many times I see people putting drywall up where they forgot to do electrical outlets. Or, or they're doing the floor, first, and then they're putting all their cabinets on an LVP, and they're having issues down the line with the contractor. And again, learning those things, you got to pay the dumb tax, or you can pay a mentor, or you can just follow somebody, because everything's free on YouTube. I really feel like the coaching thing, unless you're very specific, like bathrooms and kitchens, I coach a small group, but they're from around the country. And the reason I'm coaching is because, again, I'll talk about that in a minute, which is a division that I started. You want to have specific people for specific things. Now, with flipping properties, real simple. You need funding, right? You need to know your market. You need to know your neighborhoods, right? So if you start picking a neighborhood, you start practicing. You start seeing what houses sold in that neighborhood. Then, you can start driving around. They call it driving for dollars, where you're driving around looking for the house with the high grass, where you're looking for the windows that aren't really in all that good shape. They're starting to see certain signs of these houses that are, pretty much, they're starting to look pretty bad, and just knock on the door. Now, people might slam the door in your face, but hey, at least you're getting practice. I always call it practice, right? And then the other little key that I did that most people don't do, which I don't know if it's illegal or not, it's probably illegal, but is your best connection to knowing who's getting divorced, who just got locked up, who's getting foreclosed on, all that stuff is the mail. So if you know a mailman, link in with that guy, he might be able to slip you a name or an address, and now you got something everyone else doesn't have. Because I can tell you, with wholesalers, they're laughing, but it's true, with wholesalers, those guys are spending a lot of money every month. So if you're trying to compete with them on that wholesale level, it's gonna be really hard because they're putting out Google pay-per-click, Google LSA, mailers, and they have lists, and they have people calling or people texting all these people all the time. So you gotta find an angle where they're all not going, and you gotta go there. And sometimes it's not the easiest thing to go the places you need to go to, but if you're not worried about it, you're willing to give it a shot, you will definitely become successful. Because again, that's the people that become successful, the people that do everything that no one else wants to do. So just give it a shot, don't be scared to do it. And that's pretty much what I did my whole entire life. I wasn't scared to knock on your door and ask you if you want to sell your house. And if you stay on the door, guess what, I'll be back in a month. Because I know sooner or later, the sheriff's gonna come and knock on that door. So that's what you have to do to be able to get these deals. It's not the easiest thing. Now, the other way is organically. We'll talk about, kind of going back to karma, right? You treat people right and you get treated right. Most of my deals now are just from people that know me in the past, know I take care of different people, and with me with building my company, I had my best salesman. And again, he was an older guy. I met him doing his job, and he was one of those guys, he was like a nightmare client. So literally, it's when I did the work. He was sitting over my shoulder the whole time I was doing tile. I'd call and complain to his wife that I'm gonna charge more money because he's gonna have to do the job next time, and they're not gonna hire me, and all this fun stuff. But when I went in his basement, I saw how organized he was. The guy had everything organized. So I said, Andy, one day you're gonna work for him. I just don't know when. I want to bring you on. And he was a headhunter. You guys know what a headhunter is? So a headhunter is someone that basically finds like high-level positions, finds candidates to fill those positions. So that's what he did. And I wanted to work for him. So, and he did. And he came to me at a perfect time. Again, God gives you people when you need them. The perfect time was Hurricane Sandy. So Hurricane Sandy came, I think at that time, I had 11 people working for me. I went from 11 to 60 people working for me basically within a week. We were demoing houses. I did 107 houses in that time. It was definitely a learning experience. I made money, but I lost money. But again, I learned. And Andy was so organized with all his paperwork, all these people, all their hours, I couldn't not keep him. And then for the next 3 months, he drove around with me after everything had slowed down. And he basically learned what I did, which is like the sales and running the job. I wore every hat in the company. So all the way from selling the job or marketing to the installation of the job, I would do it all. But eventually, again, I replaced myself out of those positions, being able to hire someone to install tile, or install carpet, or install cabinets. All that stuff I kind of did over time. It didn't happen overnight, but over time I basically leveled myself up by doing that. And in doing so, I got Andy, and he was great. Had no kids. He actually didn't like kids. He was like an anti-kid guy, a very straight shooter, businessman to the max, and he was great for me for a lot of years. So much so that I'll never forget, we got a job in Philly. I've never been able to get it because he was one hell of a marketer too. I said, hey, if you get this job, I'll buy you a truck with Ford Explorer. So at that time, I think it was like 35 grand. So he sells the job. He goes, are you ready to take me to go to my expo? I said, yes, sir. Let's go get it. So I'm thinking 35 grand. He goes, well, there's this platinum one that has this and this. I'm like, that's 55 grand. He said, you said Explorer. I said, you know what, I did. So I bought that Explorer for him. Unfortunately, he worked for me for probably 8 years total. And the last 3 years was rough because one day he calls me, it was a Monday morning, never forget, he says, hey Sam, I have like a flash in my eye. So I said, what do you mean a flash in your eye? So he said, it's like almost like a flashlight, someone's flashing like a camera. I said, dude, I think that's something in your brain. He goes, nah, I'm gonna go get my eye checked. So later that day, he went to get his eye checked. They said, no, go to the hospital. He goes to the hospital, and from there they rushed him right over to UPenn. Did a craniology, which I don't know if you know what that is, but basically they ripped the side of your skull open and they removed tumors. So they removed the tumors, and he was in a coma from that Tuesday to that Saturday. And the only reason I knew he was out of the coma is on my program, it's called Builder Trend. I could see there was some work getting done under his name. And I said, what the fuck is this dude doing? So I called him, I said, Andy, what are you doing? He goes, dude, I gotta catch up on work. I'm like, what do you mean? Forget about the work. You gotta worry about, this other issue we're having right here. He goes, listen, it's out, that tumor's out, we're good to go. I said, oh my God, this guy's crazy. So, long story short with him, he never wanted to go on any disability. He never wanted to go on unemployment, none of that stuff. So I kept him. And, every year he was getting worse, and, he survived for 3 years after that, but, and I paid him. It was a high salary. So, at a certain point, and he did well for me for a lot of years. I kept him on that salary. I didn't want to take him off because I feel like mentally that would have killed him. So I figured, let me keep this guy going. The good thing about that is it made me that much stronger because I was able to handle so much more. So when eventually I hired a driver for him the last 6 months, he couldn't see, he couldn't drive, he couldn't type. And that guy's name was Lyle. So Lyle was a good guy, and this was probably about, I want to say about 6 years ago, when Andy passed away. So once Andy passed away, now I had money again, right? So now I was going to fill that position of sales. So I did that 3 years ago. I hired that person. And I tried one or two before, but I finally met a guy that actually was able to keep up with what I do, and I could trust in him, and I took him from his regular position, and I made him the CEO of Showcase, which that was last August. So from there, I'd already been working on my one-day bathroom division, but from there, I basically was able to take my income and increase that almost by 45%. So, with that, I also started a one-day bathroom division. So again, it was like almost a new thing. Scaling was a new thing. It was like starting over again. But I liked it, and my wife was going to kill me. She's like, we're done, we have to do anything else. And for me, I didn't care about that. I care about the journey, I care about the, trying, I care about the challenge, right? If something's not a challenge for me anymore, I get bored. So I always want to challenge myself. So what I did is, I go back to manifesting, right? I manifested, I want this guy, Mike Murphy, right in my head, because I heard this guy, Mike Murphy's really good. He's in the back of the room, by the way, in the red shirt. But I said, I knew he was like the #1 salesman for PJ Fitzpatrick for the bathrooms. And I didn't know who he was, and I figured, in like October, I'll reach out to him, and January I was gonna hire him. That's in my head. Because anything you manifest, I promise you could have. It's literally like goals. You write your goals down, whatever they are, you're gonna hit them, you're just gonna move that goal more, as you hit them. So for the one-day bathroom, again, I saw someone that did it in Wisconsin. He sold the company for $100 million. I'm like, he's doing 500 bathrooms a month. Okay, that's cool. Let me reach out to him. Start talking to him. Great guy. Started researching it. I brought the products back. I flew it all over the country. I brought it back, and I was like, that's ugly. We're not doing that. I just spent like 6 months every night working on this thing, and she shot it down. And to be honest with you, those people from that company, they were treating me like garbage. They're like, yeah, you're nobody, basically. And I started writing to some of the other bigger companies, like, hey, can you give me a shot? All shot me down. Then there was a company out of, was it Chicago? I don't even know where it's at. Ohio. I'm sorry, Ohio. So I got a hold of them. They actually flew me out. They put us up in a nice golf course, treated me really good. And I'm like, yeah, I actually like the product. I don't know what kind of cruise of the product, but she doesn't say it's ugly like the other ones. And we started selling that. So I started selling that. I did that for about 6 months, 7 months. Summertime comes, I'm in the pool at the Seaport Pier in Wildwood. The one guy says, oh yeah, that's, he introduced himself, Mike Murphy. So I asked my friend, I said, is that guy that sell bathrooms? He says, nah, he's a cop. I said, I looked at his haircut, he definitely looks like a cop. Yeah, forget that I did. So then I asked the owner's dad of Seaport, I said, that Mike Murphy, Israel, he said that he was a cop. Is he a cop? He goes, no, he sells bathrooms for bath fitter. So he's close, because he did used to sell for bath fitter, and then they sold for PJ. So then I started talking to him, and he's like, yeah, you can't afford me, blah, blah, blah. And then I guess he looked me up later, and he called me and said, hey, can I meet up with you? I said, yeah. So, again, my thing was January. I met this guy in July. So from there, I basically took what I had going on. I said, hey, I'm looking to hire you, beginning of the year. Everybody's like, dude, I'm coming on in 2 weeks. I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's just jump into it. Was I ready? Probably not. But did we make it work? Absolutely. So this was our first full year doing it. I learned a lot and I spent a lot of money learning the marketing side, which I could talk about a little bit, but it's more for contractors and investors. But we took that company and just did a little under 4 million. So, my main company, I did 14 million. That was mostly organic, word of mouth. This company, we did a little over 4 million, but we did a lot of advertising. Well, I figured out how to make crack that code and make sure that your numbers work for you. Because again, if your numbers aren't working for you and you don't have that average number of sales ticket and it's not high enough, you'll lose money faster than anything else. So, and I've learned that too the first year. So, again, everything's a journey. I have new goals for 2026 with that company. I also decided to start my own company of my own bathroom line products, so I started that company. My first shipment that took me 3 years too. That shipment comes in next week, so I'm excited about that. I'm buying a 21,000 square foot building, hopefully in about a month, which that'll be, where our main headquarters is, because what happened was we were growing so fast. I had, a building with a small warehouse. Within 30 days, that warehouse was ate up. I had to have another warehouse, so we rented one down the street. And then, 4 months down the line, I had to rent another warehouse. So now we got 3 warehouses. So the only thing to do is to be able to buy something, because again, I want to own the real estate. I want to be able to, control something, and that's a way for me to control it. So that's what we're doing now. So, in scaling, I'll go a little bit of scaling. There's a replacement ladder, and again, if you want that replacement ladder, just hit up Ricky. Hit up Ricky, he'll send you a replacement ladder for contractors. It's really good because it basically starts with the admin, and then, once you get everything's SOPs. Once you have SOP for everything that you do, I know it sounds stupid, but and you know how to do it. It's in your head. If you don't write it down, the next person doesn't know, and you got to think that way. So as you start writing those things down, you replace your admin. Then next thing is going to be delivery, how it gets done, how it gets installed, how your flip gets done, who are your contacts. That 42-point checklist has everyone. You just got to find the right people, which I don't mind sharing who I use either with you guys. It's not a big deal. It's actually awesome to be able to watch other people grow and see their success. It's very rewarding. And on top of that, you have the sales and marketing. Because again, if you don't have your marketing right, you don't have the sales coming in, those salesmen are going to leave. Because again, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not something you do right away. You want to take your sales, make it a process. Make a presentation. Have financing sometimes. Some of the business, they're going to be financing, some are just cash. And then once you have that financing, obviously you have to have those fees built in. So there's a lot of working parts with that part of it, just like there's a lot of working parts with a flip. But if you have that structure, if you have that blueprint on how to run that business, or that blueprint on how to run that flip, it definitely eases some of the pain and some of the unexpected costs that can happen in doing so. With that, I'm definitely setting my new goals for 2026. I definitely love everyone that I have around me. And we started a group called Small Business Big Heart, which that's a bunch of different business owners. And our deal is, hey, we learn from each other. I make each member every month, a new member. We go to their place of business. They tell us about their customer avatar. They tell us about their journey and where they're at. We go over their marketing, we go over their sales, and we just try and help each other. And then, we all pitch in and give a little bit of money. We just did, we rented the senior center in Washington Township. We bought 100 meals. 64 people showed up. It was our first one. We had a lot of fun. Next year, I want to make it a party. Every year is supposed to be a party, right? So I hired a DJ. I figured let's invite seniors, veterans, and anyone else who wanted to come. And I want to be like, hey, it's a thing for the poor. I mean, then it's people like feeling bad for themselves coming. I want to have people come and have fun. So you can be poor. I could care less. I want you to come. But I want it to be like, hey, you don't feel that way. You feel accepted. That was cool because a couple of people came up to us, and I think they talked to Mike. And they're like, hey, tell them why you're here. And he's like, hey, what did we say, Mike? Something about,
What's that, why they were there?
Yeah.
They just wanted to come out and see the different community and get something to eat and,
Yeah.
be part of it. And they've heard of us and they've seen the advertising.
Definitely. And it was just a good time. Then we did 500 school bags in August. So, yeah, we bought 500 school bags. And then I have, every year from the state, I always get interns. So the state pays the interns. I had one of the interns put all these positivity patches on the school bags, and then you guys probably already know I do like most of the Eagles guys. So I called, Vinny Carey's like one of my best friends. I talk to him all the time. I had him come down, and then Big Dom is my boy. He lives right down the street from me. I had him come to Valori's, and we hand out the school bags. It was pretty fun. And then, again, I think the next thing we're gonna do is like Valentine's Day. I wanna skip Christmas and the holiday only because everyone does their own thing. So I feel like, number one, it's too close to Thanksgiving. And number two, people do different toy drives and, Christmas trees, and let them do their own thing, let them enjoy the holiday, give it a break. But I wanna do 4 things a year, give back to different people in the community. So that's what I kinda wanna do. So now, let me see how much time I have left.
We want to give.
I have about an hour left, right?
Yeah.
Just kidding. I have about 15 minutes left, so I'd like to hear some questions.
Yeah, shift over.
First, thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. There's a lot of subject matter there, so whoever wants to raise your hand, ask about any one of those things we
Okay.
talked about.
My name's Keith.
Keith.
I'm also 22, but
Awesome.
I'm getting started with like flipping and wholesaling.
Yes.
My question to you is, why did you not decide to take on any leverage for your rental properties?
That's a great question. I'm gonna say it's that person in the back right there, that again, my wife, she was holding me back when it ended up being a great thing. We basically said, hey, if I have the money, I'm gonna do it. If I don't have the money, I'm not gonna do it. And I've done that all the way up to this point of new construction. And I felt like it gets me out of got me out of a lot of issues where I get jammed up. Because, I know a flipper, I talked to him way over here, super nice guy, works really hard, probably harder than anyone I know. He's done 130 flips, and he's made less money this year than he's ever made before, and he's lost money on 30 of those flips. So again, once you get to that number of flips where, and again, it's an ego thing, because his thinking is this: I want to flip 200 houses this year. That sounds great, but what ends up happening is revenue, like that top line revenue, is vanity. Sounds cool, right? Profit sanity. So I told him, I've been telling him for years, don't worry about that number, 200. Worry about how much money you're going to generate from that profit. You know what I mean? Or those flips. So I feel like for me, and again, it's a different time now, so yeah, I would say leverage loans. I would say get in Tyler's ear, learn from him, and figure out how much the points are. Figure out, ChatGPT is real simple. What should I pay a hard money lender is going to tell you. You know what I mean? Everything's, everything's there for you. Lay that out and then have a plan. Say, all right, cool. Once I master this one flip, right, then I'm going to do it again. If I can get to 2, I get to 2, right? But don't over leverage yourself where you're spending $150,000, $160,000 a month on interest. It's just not viable. And then you get hurt. And then I see so many people go down because of that. So I think I'm doing a loan for the new building. Not that I don't have the money for the building. It's I just feel like at 6% is free money. So, and don't get stuck on the number too. Make sure your numbers work. Plan it out. Have a little cushion in there for yourself. And then again, you can use ChatGPT for a lot of things, but you want to have hard numbers when you're going into like a flip, especially your first one. You want to make sure there's a lot of room in there because again, you can get hurt if you're going in there thinking, okay, X, Y, and Z's here, and you get stuck for another 2 or 3 months with interest payments, and there's all your profits, all gone. So for me, I think my biggest thing is I was so cheap. I was stealing pens from Commerce Bank for the office. You can see I'm still like that. But my wife goes, "You are so," well, she calls me selectively cheap because I'll buy a car for $400, but I'll go steal pens from Commerce Bank. I think that was the reason why, and that's where I got where I am.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. This story kind of resonated with me. So 2020, I jumped into it's called Amazon DSP. It was like that was an opportunity back then.
Yeah.
Partnering with them and we were friends with just knowing that. But what that did though, and this story resonates with me because it's kind of like I'm so much into that. I really want to grow even more beyond that. It's lucrative, but
Sure.
I want to kind of replace the start of the businesses, right? But the story resonates with me even more because I got 3 properties on Spar Drive, which is off of Jarvis,
Yep.
on Gloucester Township, right? So I started buying those in 2016. I did the house hack, lived in one around another one, especially on Spar. And that was when I got that one for actually $91,000. It was one for like $79, right?
Beautiful.
But I slowed down once I got into, the Amazon logistics company, right? Since then, I only bought one other property, and I was on the Winslow Township Avenue side,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I got that bought in on cash and so forth, right? So, and my question is, in order to scale up, especially because I see the wheelhouse, I've been bouncing back and forth between Gloucester Township and then on the Winslow side, Winslow taxes are a little bit lower.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So on and so forth too, right? I know that's your play area. What do you think the trajectory of it is going forward? Because down the street, we see that the new houses here, and then they're building new houses all over the place in
Yep.
the township.
Oh, yeah.
So
So-
you growth from there still?
Yeah, so, I mean, I like it. I like Spar Drive, I like all those duplexes there. My brother bought one. He's definitely not a hustler at all. But if you give him $5, that kid can make it stretch over 6 months. If you give me $5, I'm spending it tomorrow, right? So we're different people. You'll never see him out, you'll always see me out. You know what I mean? He's more of a hermit. Spar Drive was a great buy for me. I have 2 duplexes, literally less than a mile on Jarvis Road. 729 Jarvis, that was my first one, I bought it for $82,000. 649. I bought that too, I bought that for 50 grand. I bought that, and then I rent that out for 1,800, 3,600 a month, right? So, you know, it's a pretty good return on something. And then, you know, I grew up in Clementona, so if you basically, you know, every street there, I know, I can tell you, Alberta, Bellevue, you know what I mean? Cambridge, Delaware, Essex, so know your numbers and know your streets, I know every street. You name a street, I know in Boston Township. I know how much the house is sold, I probably know who lives in each house now, just from the mailman and, also me knocking on doors, right? So you gotta be obsessed with it. Because again, when you're fighting for something, someone else is always fighting harder. You gotta be able to win. And be able to win is you gotta be the first one there, or you gotta get there before everybody else gets there. And if you don't have a realtor, like I had a really good run with a realtor. And he was the top realtor. And we basically, he would call me, I would go right away. Or he put the bid in for me, I get the house, I wouldn't go there because I was so busy until the first day when I already bought the house. And I would never go to the closing, like, hey, you just bought this house, I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go there. And I go there, I do my material takeoff, because I knew how to do it really fast, and I'll get my guys in there, in and out, done, right? So, you know, again, I think it's a hot area, I don't think it's a bad area at all. Winslow's good too, I did Lehigh Manor.
Okay.
Yeah, that was years and years ago, I bought it for $37.5, and then I probably put about 15 into it, and that was the first time I did tile, I did it all wrong. I got like regular glue and I was gluing the tiles down. But again, it was like a learning experience. And then from there, they're like, hey, we got this other house at my parents' house. It's in Philly. I've never been to Philly. So I ended up buying this house in Bridesburg. So I bought it for, I think, 100, and I ended up selling for, at that time, 200, is probably worth 500 now. But again, you know, real estate for me is always double or triple in value. So I think you're on the right seat there. I think being able to scale up your Amazon business is huge, and then take that and invest in properties when they come up is also, you know, a big part of your wealth for growing on in the future.
What's your, what differentiates you when you meet a person for the first time versus another contractor, you know, doing the same pitch? What's your mentality when you're building a relationship? What would you say like your key things are when you're trying to get somebody to hire you, get somebody to work with you? Like, what's your strategy for building a relationship?
Okay, so I'll go over a couple things. So if I'm selling, right, people buy from people they like. They're not buying the product. The product's the same. It's how you present the product, how you feel about the product, how they feel about you, and seeing if you can make the connection with them or not. So when I walk in a house, I always try and figure out, I don't want to say I'm the best, because everyone's going to say they're the best, right? So you got to differentiate yourself. And how you do that is say, hey, you know, what problem do you have, and can I solve it, and how am I going to solve it? And you give them the playbook on how you can do that, and then you go over what you can do. So for me, for like a kitchen versus another contractor, I'm not going to say I'm the best, but I'm going to tell you this. I'll go to your house, I'll walk in your house, you'll tell me what you want, I'll understand what you want, I'll be able to figure it out better on what you want. I'll give you the design, I memorize every cabinet, because every cabinet, again, starts at 9, ends at 36, in instruments incremental of 3. So 9, 12, 15, 18, after you get over 21, because 21 is a single door, 24 is a double door. 24, 27, I memorize that stuff. Why? I'm a nerd, right? I'm a nerd, so I know that stuff. So then, I'm drawing it, all it is a bunch of squares, I'm showing the people that are going, wow, that's cool. And then I'm selling it right there, giving the price right there. Because again, it's speed to lead, being able to give them a price, fair price. You know, again, I always tell people, am I the cheapest? No. Am I the most expensive? Absolutely not. I'm right there in the middle. And I feel like I'm the best value for you. And I tell them, I'll tell people right away, you're not for me. Customer, I'll tell them, I already know you're not for me. And I can tell you, I know the red flaggers. So what I normally do with sales is, again, it's hard to re-pitch me because I've been doing it for so long. But what I did with the one-day bathroom is, hey, came up with an awesome presentation with help. I said I'm not the best graphic designer, but I was able to tell them, hey, about me, about the company, about what we do, show the products, and build that out. That CRM, Customer Relationship Manager, that's taken me years to understand. There's so many different ones. All I can tell you with that part of it is find something that's easy to use and that's effective for you, because it's only as good as the information put in. Now, for picking contractors, I try and meet them, see if there's a person, see what type of person they are. You know, because if they're a good person, even if they're not the best price or you know, they're going to give you the best service. At least if you go to a couple of jobs, you know they're getting it done right. Even if you're paying a little more, what I've learned from, you know, the beginning to now, the best price isn't always the cheapest price. Because again, you can pay for a job over and over again when the job is wrong. So, like an HVAC system, put that in wrong and watch how much drywall you're ripping out. Have an electrician do that wrong. Don't get the permits and see what happens. You know what I mean? Those type of people, they all cling to each other. And in the beginning, I was like, cool, let me pay people cheap. I can charge a cheap price. I can get an okay product, but you get nowhere. I feel like this, if you could pay guys that work for you well, they're also winning, everybody wins. The customer gets charged a little more money, but okay, it's okay because they're getting a premium product. So they gotta pay for a premium product. And then again, finding your customer avatar. Finding that customer that, hey, maybe they had I call them the chuck in the truck. They had that chuck in the truck guy. They've been down that road and they're over. They want somebody that's gonna be solid, show up every day, maybe have a brick and mortar place, maybe not, but be able to basically service that customer right where they want. Yep.
Talk a little bit about how you make your SOPs. So for me with the laundromats, like we're buying our 5th store in like 2 years.
Yep.
And like it's getting to the point where like we gotta get this stuff out of our heads and on paper so
Yep.
that we can hire like a regional manager or whatever.
Mhm.
And like we're kind of getting stuck. Maybe we're overcomplicating our head, but like how do you go about starting to create your SOPs?
So I already know you're an entrepreneur and I already know you're overcomplicated.
Yeah.
I just know
So,
that.
same.
I do the same thing,
Yeah.
right? So I always say the KISS method, which is the keep it simple, stupid. You know what CRMs, have you ever used any CRMs to try to do that?
For my inspection business, Jobber.
Jobber's very good. For doing the SOPs, and everyone could use this is actually awesome. It's called BAND, B-A-N-D, it's a free. I'm gonna tell you the free, I'll tell you the best ones, right? Always start with free. BAND is something anyone in this place can use for themselves. It's like Facebook, but it's Facebook for me. I invite the people I want to invite, I can add the things I want to add, and I can make multiple Facebooks, so multiple accounts. So I can make, for you, not to get too much in your business, but what positions do you have? Give me like two
We're
positions.
trying to find somebody who can like manage all the day-to-day stuff.
Okay.
Even though the stores are self-serve.
Operations,
Yeah,
right?
okay, exactly.
So you got operations, what else? Anything else, any other position, just operations?
Pretty much just operations manager, I would say.
Okay, so that's easy. You start a band called Operations, right? And I would use ChatGPT to start your, at least your initial layout of what you would need for a laundromat. And I would use that and put that in the band. Then I would set up a training and do it that way. And then once you have that all down, once you bring somebody in, all your SOPs are written on band. They have to go through it and have them comment in the bottom, receive, and I understand. Because they can receive and they can read it, but if they don't understand it, then there's no use even having it. So anything they don't understand, let them come to you, and then actually have them in there. Now, there's another program, it's a little more money, it's called Notion. That is actually set up for that. But again, I'm gonna tell you the free, and then work your way up, right? And then from there, there's another one called Triannual. So Triannual is expensive. I think I did it last year, I spent $5 grand. I used it, it's really cool, but it wasn't for me. But I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars playing around with CRMs just to make my operations smoother. It was really cool, really easy to use. But again, for if there's only one position or two positions, if you don't have over, I'd say 50 people, I wouldn't even mess with that. I would just keep it simple, stupid, right? Band's free, use that, and then build it up from there.
How did you find the balance of taking from your main business to invest, or like your business to invest in like flips and real estate?
Okay, great question, great question. So originally when I worked at the jail, 22, I got a little piece of blue paper, sounds crazy. I drew a little thermometer, a little like milestones, right? And I knew my milestone was 10,000 I wanted before I went to flip and buy my next purchase, my rental property. So as I started putting money to the side for that, I started making that thermometer go up. And then, again, it's back to delayed gratification. Don't get that car with that car payment. Just buy something new. Who cares? Don't think about the long term, don't think about the short term. So, everyone gets stuck on what the nice car was. Don't need none of that. Nothing's important except for being able to get to that next goal. When you set those goals and you start pushing toward them goals, that's how you get real leverage, and that's how you start to actually maintain and build up your wealth.
How are you, Patrick?
Good.
Rich? Question for you. When you were starting your business from the beginning, how did you manage your time?
Okay.
Or advice on how to manage your time
Yeah.
with kids running a full-blown operation?
Okay, yeah. So I can tell you, I had someone call me and say, hey, I want to hire you as my coach, blah, blah, blah. I started talking, he goes, I just want more time. I said, I'm the wrong guy. I am the wrong guy. I don't care where you're at, where I'm at, I am constantly working. There is no one outworking me ever. I'm telling you right now, it'll be 11 o'clock, Mike will tell you, I'm texting him all this stuff, and I'm like, he's the only guy to keep up with it. But I never stop. So I'm a real bad example of what not to be with work-life balance. I'm the absolute worst.
I guess more so, how did you handle it?
Okay.
Like in a sense of obviously significant others.
Sure.
Working.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a big thing when you're on a computer from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah, Jim's
Absolutely.
staring at him.
I'm waiting for his answer.
I'm trying to be really
Or how
smart
did you
about this.
handle it?
I need
I
to
just
be-
did it with him.
Yeah, so okay. So I'm gonna tell you, your spouse, your partner, who you choose, that's gonna take you either really, really far or nowhere at all, right? So them being able to sacrifice, your time, their time with you is important, and that's what got me to where I'm at. Now, is there a turnoff for people? There should be. For me, honestly, there's really not. Like, I literally, I'll tell you, I'm the worst. Like, I literally will work 11 o'clock. I'll wake up 3 in the morning. I'm still trying to learn something. I'm reading a book, and again, for books, I'm gonna recommend one that'll change everybody in here. And that book is Traction from Gino Wickman. So I read that book, and that's when I really said, okay, cool, because I was doing everything. I had every hat. I was selling the job, marketing the job, going out and inspecting the job, managing the job. When I did that and I started to put people in different places, now my time started to become a lot more productive. Because again, I was just doing this, right? Because I was doing this.
And to go off that, at what point did you incorporate taking the hat off and handing it off to somebody?
Yeah. So I gotta tell you, for me, it was when I read that book, Traction. And again, for me, I was very bullheaded. I thought I could do everything, and I realized then I really couldn't. So what I did is like, okay, let me hire the traction coach. So I hired that traction coach. I got the number in the back of the book, and they gave me a guy, and I brought him into our team, not just me. And it was a team effort. It wasn't me being coach, because every year I always invest in myself. I don't care if I think I need to or not. I just do it because I like it. So I've been to Tony Robbins, UPW, Tony Robbins, Business Mastery, Alex Hermosi, spent $40,000 with him this year. I think I'm doing like a podcast with Brad Lee in like March. All these guys are like different connections. You get to see different people, and even go to like different groups like this. Maybe you learn nothing from me, but there's a guy to your right, a guy to your left. You learn something from them. That's what's important, because I don't care if you're just starting off or you've been doing it a million years. You can learn something from everybody at any time. So I'm always like, hey, how can I be more productive? How can I get in front of more people? How can I learn more things? How can I get better every day? And again, I always say, look, I'm in competition with nobody. Like, oh, you're my competition. I'm not in competition. I have no. The only person in competition is myself. So if I could be better today than I was yesterday, that's all I want. And guess what? If I failed today, here's the beautiful thing. There's tomorrow. And when I come tomorrow to work, I guarantee I'm going to come harder than I did today, and I'm going to win, because I have no loss mentality. You cannot lose. You might have a small setback, but any setback that I do, I'm always going to come back at you harder. And that's just how I've been. Today was a perfect example. The guy called me, hey, we ain't getting the elevator working. There's no way. The Comcast guy said, it's minimum 24 hours. I said, bud, we are getting that thing done today. So what I did is I happen to know somebody at Comcast, I said, turn that thing on, and he goes, dude, I don't know what happened, the Comcast thing's working. I said, I told you, always say you can, never say you can't. You did it, buddy. He goes, yeah. He has no idea I called him. Making sure that thing was on. But, yeah, I'm a bad work-life balance person.
Are you sticking around?
Yeah, I can stick around and answer any questions, and
So I hate to interrupt, but we gotta shift over and go into the brewery, food's getting cold, so whoever wants to stay around, I'm sure we can keep doing a little bit of a Q&A in there, we'll try to figure it out as we go along. If you're not sticking around, appreciate you coming, but yeah, we're just gonna go right through those gray doors, and yeah, thanks again, Sam, we'll be around. If you haven't seen it, if you want to follow Sam and see everything he does, he's got 2 Instagrams, Sam Demaio and Big Showcase Remodels. He's also on Facebook. I know you're pushing that.
yeah. I just learned it. I've been doing the new construction. Yeah. I think I have to.
Yeah, why don't we go? Yeah, no, I I thought I was going to get the same I was
Something tracks.
It'll come. Just keep working. Eventually you'll get that break, and that's what you need. Once you get that break, that's leverage, that's traction. So don't quit. Next thing about how many shots did he make?